Mando, you came and you saved me from Navarro. I don't know. I got nothing.
The Empire.
Oh, I was trying to make it rhyme with Mando.
That was a good try.
Sando. Hello.
Welcome to Drawing Conclusions.
I'm Jessica.
And I am Josh.
And today we're talking about episode 7 of The Mandalorian.
Yes.
And this will contain many spoilers.
Probably. Very much probably.
So Josh, what did you think of episode 7 of The Mandalorian?
I really enjoyed this episode. It's been out for quite a while now.
Yes.
But I remember
we watched it a long time ago.
We did watch it a long time ago. A little bit of a hiatus there. Anyway, whatever. I really enjoyed this episode. I like the intensity that builds in especially the last half of the show, where it's like their plans are kind of like coming unraveled, and it's like, oh crap, what do we do now? And like just like the lead into the credits, the end credits were great. I mean, sad because
Poor
Queeg. Yeah, he gets it, which is sad. But I mean, it builds some tension and there's some stakes there, so it's not just like, oh right, we won again. Whew, that was close.
Right.
None of that.
Well, something that I think Star Wars has always been willing to do is to kill characters, right? I mean, there was one of those shows that I watched when I was a kid that was one of the first shows I remember where they killed off like one of the good guys in the movie, because like I was little when the first time I saw Star Wars.
Right, yeah. Obi-Wan
and so like
Kenobi.
I was used to watching movies where nobody died, unless maybe the bad guy.
Yeah, the bad guy.
But then in A New Hope, here like halfway through the movie or whatever, Obi-Wan Kenobi buys it. And so I think Star Wars has never shied away from killing people. And in this episode, we have a character that we've come to like over the course of the series,
Right.
One of the good guys die at the end, and it was sad. It was really sad, but it's effective in like raising the stakes and making you realize how serious the situation is.
Right. And their plans to double cross Werner Herzog's character, the Imperial guy running things there, it fails
miserably.
And they got to figure out a way to get out of it. And, I really like that. I mean, just the characters were consistent throughout from previous episodes. And, I like that they have not had, like, big departures. Like, why would you do that for?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. I think that's really good.
Well, and this episode introduces, like, who the real villain is, really,
Yes.
right, of the series. You kind of have been thinking it's this Werner Herzog's character the whole time, but really
I can't remember.
But really
it's
Moff Gideon, right, who's pulling the strings and has been behind this the entire time.
Right, Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, he's
Right.
the real string puller, and he's pretty ruthless. I mean, he's hardly in this episode at all, just right at the tail end, but you get a sense that like he means business and he doesn't mess around.
Right. So like I think he does a really good job in this episode, and then of course, next one we're not talking about that yet, but
don't give it away.
I know. Don't jump the gun. I know. I got it.
No gun jumping.
But it was interesting watching it again in preparation for doing this video. I was like, so why is the child, Baby Yoda, so important to Moff Gideon? He's like, it's more important to me than you'll ever know.
I'm
like, so there's a story. There's something there.
There's something, right?
Right. So that's interesting. And so I'm curious to see where they take that next season and what we,
Well, I like that
we're still going to learn about that.
We get we get a look at like Baby Yoda, also has a protective side for the Mandalorian as well.
Right.
And it's not just the Mandalorian protecting this, supposedly helpless little child.
Right.
You see these not so helpless, because Cara Dune and the Mandalorian are arm wrestling and they're just having a bit of fun, but he doesn't know that. And
right.
He starts to give her the choke. He's like, no, she's a friend. She's good. It's like, you tried to kill me. So it's like, I mean, that was kind of pretty grim there for a second. It's like, holy smokes, he's got some power and will wield it. even though he doesn't understand.
Well, I think we've seen that with the child a couple other times in episodes where he maybe uses his abilities in ways that aren't totally light side, right?
Yeah.
Force powers. But he's a child and he's not been trained. He hasn't had anyone guiding him. Right. And so, like children, he's just kind of like
finding his
more
way.
Emotional, right? And they have very emotional responses.
50-year-old child.
Right? Well, yeah, but doesn't really understand all the implications of the things that he's doing and the consequence of them, but just knows that that the Mandalorian's basically his father figure. And if he thinks he's in danger, he's going to do something about it.
Yeah, certainly his guardian. But father figure is probably pretty accurate too. But yeah, I really like this episode. I've enjoyed this season very much thus far. And look forward to the next one, which I've already seen. But we'll be talking about that one in the next video. Was there anything about this show, this particular episode, you didn't care for that you can think of?
No, not really. I like this blend. It's very Star Wars of seriousness with humor, with action, with the plot, the mysteriousness of it and stuff. I mean, not knowing all the pieces yet. I don't know. It just feels like such a good addition to the Star Wars universe to me overall. It just really fits the tone of Star Wars in general. And I'm really glad they brought Cara Dune back. I like her. And I like the dynamic, between her and the Mandalorian. I like that they did things that surprised me, that like Werner Herzog, again, getting killed, Yeah,
that was pretty shocking. I was like, oh,
right.
He shot him, and it wasn't one of those guys in the room with him that shot him.
Right, kind of like out of nowhere, right? Yeah. Getting killed by... Well, that's one of the ways that Moff Gideon is so ruthless, right? And he's just willing to mow down all of the people that are on his side in that room.
Yeah, just to get at them.
Right. So, and one also, he's certainly motivated to get the child, right? So, no, I mean, I thought it was a really good episode. It's a good second to last episode of the season. Really sets things up nicely for a grand finale kind of episode.
I think so. It the cliffhanger ending definitely you want to see this resolved and see where it goes. And I, as soon as it was over initially, when first watch, I was like, oh, I gotta wait till next week.
Right. So, was there anything you didn't like about the episode?
Well, I've said it before throughout the other ones. These need to be at least like 45 minutes long. I mean, I've gotten used to it, but still, I wish they were longer.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's okay. It's not like a deal breaker or anything stupid like that.
Well, but the thing is, what I like about the episodes is they're not like standard lengths, and they're taking as long as they need to tell the story that they want to tell, or that chunk of the story that they want to tell.
Yeah.
And so, from a viewer perspective, it might feel frustrating because it's like, oh, I've been waiting all week, and now I only get like 23 minutes of this or whatever. But in terms of storytelling, I think it's a smart choice, to not pad it out unnecessarily.
Yes, that's true. When you have like more time, you feel like, okay, I don't have much of an idea, and then we got to try and like fill this thing up with crap. And so I appreciate that that's not happening.
Well, and then once everything's been released and it's on the streaming service, you can just watch it all again, and you can appreciate, you don't have to wait for the next episode to release next week or whatever. Yeah. And you kind of appreciate the pace of it all. You can see it as kind of like a movie, right? I mean, it really plays more like that.
Well, it's so much more cohesive when you don't have to wait a week. You can just keep binge it, just go lead one episode into the other. And yes, I agree. I've done that, at least once already, and plan to do it again before the next season comes out, which is fall. Boo. Anyway, but yes. It fits so well together, and I like the collaboration between all the directors and producers to make this thing really cohesive, and it works really nice.
Oh, one thing I like is this continuation of the Mandalorian hating droids thing that, you know, he's got going on and his
Right.
suspicion of droids. But it's interesting because it really addresses something that it's like this weird, interesting thing about Star Wars, right? So like in the original Star Wars movies, you have C-3PO and R2-D2, and they have personalities,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, C-3PO definitely has personality, and R2-D2 definitely has a personality, and they seem like they are people almost, right? You know?
Yeah. I would agree.
But droids aren't people, and that's the thing. Like, I thought it was really interesting that they addressed that so directly in this episode. It's like, as much as you might think that this droid is like has some kind of free will, it doesn't. This is programming, right? Like, this is how it's programmed to behave, and if I program it to behave in a different way, it will behave in a different way.
Well, you're speaking, of course, of IG-11,
right?
And so showing his aftermath of getting blasted in the head in the first episode,
right?
And so, yes, that was really good. It was nice full circle, you know, to bring that character back. And, you know, Taika Waititi, of course, reprising that role. I don't know if he actually did the motion capture for it or just the voice, but whatever. Welcome return. And so, yes.
Yeah, well, I just think it's interesting that they address it so directly.
Yes.
You know, because it's such a huge part of Star Wars, these
droids
and the way that they all behave differently. And I mean, even in the latest, you know, Star Wars movie, Rise of Skywalker, you see C-3PO making choices that feel very human and very much like he has free will or something. But then he gets
saddled with stuff that he just simply can't get around because he has programming.
Well, I'm saying, like, you know, but all of the choices he, like, when you think about it, it's like really all those choices that he makes just because of how he's programmed. I don't know. Anyway, I just thought it was.
Well, no, I mean, it's definitely consistent with the Star Wars, the rest of the Star Wars universe, and I like that they've kept it consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, from like the Solo, a Star Wars story, they have like the droid fighting, you know, making them fight one another, or the prejudice against the droids trying to come into the Cantina bar in the original film, and you know, and so on. There's various other examples, but yeah, I like that they keep it consistent, and it's consistent with the character of the Mandalorian, who is not going to just, oh well, you fix this guy, so he's probably fine. You know, you know, you see enough of his backstory to learn that he's probably not going to be cool with that anytime soon.
Right.
So I think that's cool. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
Yes.
And like I said earlier, a good setup for the season finale, which we will be talking about in our next video.
All right.
Josh, tell us a little bit about this picture that you drew.
I wanted to feature Moff Gideon in this one because everything's kind of been building to this point thus far in the show. And so, you know, him with the Imperial seal, because he was high up in it, of course, as one of the Moffs, or, you know, big-time commander leaders. And I like the actor, Giancarlo Esposito. Seen him in many other things where he's also played a villain, you know, Breaking Bad, you know what I'm talking about there. And, yeah, just wanted to try my best to capture that and that big, cool, flowy cloak that he's got. So, yeah, there you go.
All right, Josh, what should they do now?
Well, if you haven't done so already, hit the notification bell for future content and hit the subscribe button. Also, if you've not done so by now, please hit the subscribe button. I kid. But seriously. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think of these episodes. Which one's your favorite? What do you like? What do you not like? What do you want? What do you wish you could see more of?
Right.
And share it on other social media platforms.
All right.
Drive people to our videos. Do it. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks.